So welcome back to another video. Today we have another episode of the Championship Roundup, and we have a lot of action to go over this weekend. As well as that, I'm also going to be giving you guys my January Championship Team of the Month in the second half of the video as well, and we've got some big names coming into that team. So as always, let me know in the comments down below, how did your team get on this weekend in the Championship? I'm always interested to know. And like I said, we got a lot of talking points to go over this weekend. We had some absolute streamers scored in the Championship, some big results at the top of the table as well. And before we do get into any of the games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then I will include your comment on screen now. And fair play to everyone who did get one right. I had a pretty decent weekend with my predictions. I managed to get two of them this weekend. Both the Sheffield United and Wigan Athletic games were correctly predicted by me. But without further ado, let's hop into talking about some of these games. And so we'll start out with the game on Friday night between Preston North End and Derby County. And considering this one finished as a 0-0 draw, it was actually quite a good game of football. Both teams had a few chances. It was probably Preston who started as the brighter of the two sides. Set pieces were a big deal for Preston in this game. We really were threatening from them, especially in the first half with some of Paul Gallagher's deliveries coming in. Jaden Stockley had two fantastic chances to take the lead for Preston, but he just couldn't get his efforts on targets. Derby did grow into the game though, the longer that first half went on for, and Harry Wilson had two fantastic chances from absolutely nowhere. He was playing in quite a central position and we didn't really know how to deal with him in the first half. We were just backing off him and he hit both the post and the crossbar from two long-ranging efforts, which, you know, on another day could have easily gone in. Another big talking point from the first half was quite a controversial tackle from Ben Pearson on Tom Lawrence. It was given as a yellow card in the end. On another day, maybe that could have been a red card. The thing with Ben Pearson so far this season is mostly his tackles have been very clean, but it's been his follow-throughs which have been the problems, and the same can be said for that one. However, he stayed on the pitch, and for the second half, he was absolutely instrumental for Preston. Preston absolutely dominated that second half of football. We changed the system up a little bit, went to a 4-1-4-1 formation, dropped Pearson into that holding DM role, moved Gallagher out wide and moved Brad Potts into the middle, where I think he's probably been better for us so far. Roos made some fantastic saves from Derby to keep them in this one. One particular one with his legs, which was a really good one to keep Derby in it. But in the end, our finishing just wasn't up to scratch and we couldn't break through this Derby defence. So in the end, finishing as a goalless draw with the latest run that Preston have been under, I don't think it's a bad point for us. And the same could probably be said for Derby as well. They had a couple of players missing for this one, and so a 0-0 draw, not the worst result in the world for either side. And then we have Birmingham beating Nottingham Forest by 2-0. The away side just don't seem to be at it in the Championship at the moment. They've dropped all the way down to 12th now, and Martin O'Neill's just not had the impact he'll have wanted to on this Forest squad. Birmingham, though, I thought were excellent in this game. They switched up the formation for this one, moved Jota into that number 10 role, and he was absolutely influential for this game. And he opened the scoring in the 13th minute. A really nice work goal as well. Trey Adams and Djukovic both linking up before Jota got the ball, lifted the ball over the defender and slotted it effortlessly into the far post. Nottingham Forest, I thought, were quite poor once again in the Championship, and what I found quite strange for this one was a lot of their best players were probably left on the bench for this game. Graben and Carvalho were both left on the bench for this one, as well as Bonatini. They were all introduced in the second half, but by that point the game had already slipped away from Forest. Birmingham did manage to wrap up the game in the last minute after Chelham slotted the penalty away after Benelli for Nottingham Forest had handled it on the line. He was shown a red card for the last few minutes. But a good 3 points for Birmingham in this game. I think that change of formation could be something to look into going forward now. Jota in that number 10 role was very pivotal for this win for them. And what a game we had going on between Brentford and Blackburn Rovers, with the away side one of the most informed sides in the Championship coming into this one. We were expecting quite a lot, and they did make quite a fast start to this game. Bradley Dack gave them the lead after just 2 minutes after linking up with Adam Armstrong, and not long after that, Danny Graham managed to head the away side 2-0 in front. But that didn't make the Brentford heads drop. They managed to get back into the game through Ben Rama. Some fantastic build-up play for that goal as well. Brilliant one-touch play. Blackburn couldn't really deal with that, especially going into the second half. Blackburn weren't helped by the fact that both Danny Graham and Bradley Dack had to be brought off soon into that second half, both being forced off through injuries, and that meant that Blackburn sort of lost their attacking edge going forward, and Brentford sensed that. Ollie Watkins scored the equaliser, and after that point Brentford really started to dominate and take control of this match. And then once again in the 73rd minute, it was Ollie Watkins once again who managed to step up and give Brentford a 3-2 lead after a horrible mistake from the Blackburn goalkeeper David Ray. He sort of tried to come out and punch the ball away, fumbled it completely, and the ball ended up in the back of his own net. Then some more brilliant build-up play led to Brentford's 4th and 5th goals through Neil Maupay and Sergi Canos wrapping it up in the last minute. When Brentford are playing like that going forward, they can beat any side in the Championship. There's no doubt about that. They are without doubt one of the most entertaining sides to watch when everyone's on form going forward. And then we have Bristol City beating Swansea by 2-0. This result for the home side now lifts them into the top 6 of the Championship, so I'm sure Bristol City fans will be absolutely buzzing after this one. But a lot of the drama from this game probably came from both sets of fans going at each other. There really seemed to be a bit of aggro between these two sets of fans, but sticking to the stuff that happened on the pitch of this one, Bristol City for the majority of it were the better side. In the second half they managed to take the lead after just 42 seconds into that second half when Weimann headed in a Jamie Patterson Hudson Cross. For large parts of that second half though, Swansea did dominate the possession. They looked to probe Bristol City, try and get into areas of space and create something, and that's something we have seen a lot of Swansea City so far this season. You know, they are very good on the ball, like to dominate it in those areas, but Bristol City were aided by the returning Adam Webster into defence. With how good Bristol City have looked so far this season defensively, they weren't going to let Swansea back into this one. And Swansea, looking to pile players forward, looking for that equaliser, in the end did leave a bit of space in behind, and that's where Bristol City were able to exploit, with Callum O'Dowda wrapping things up for the home team. So what I asked you guys is, can this Bristol City side go on and make the top 6 this season? They're in a very good position in the Championship at this point in time, and I'd be interested to get your guys' view on it. And then we had Hull beating Stoke by 2-0. Jarrod Bowen and Grosicki being Hull's main men once again for this one. The first goal for Hull City absolutely brilliantly taken by Jarrod Bowen. Up to that point in the first half, Bowen hadn't really been too involved in terms of getting into the action, but he had a free kick just on the edge of the box, and he manages to curl it in at Jack Butland's near post. Butland probably would have been disappointed to concede in that manner, but Stoke were gifted a brilliant opportunity to get back into the game just before half-time. Sam Vokes awarded the penalty, but he could not take it on his debut. Sent it down the middle. Marshall sort of dived out the way, but left his legs there just in case, and he managed to save that to ensure that Hull went into half-time with that 1-goal lead. Going into the second half, Stoke started to press for the equaliser. That opened a few spaces for Hull going in behind, and Grosicki managed to wrap up things for Hull with a nice sweeping finish after Campbell had played him in. Stoke had a couple of other chances. I think Danny Bath hit the crossbar in this one, but apart from that, they were looking quite poor for this one as well. I think this performance goes to show how far this Stoke squad has to go from now until the end of the season, until, you know, they may be pushing for the top 6 next year. Hull, on the other hand, reacted expertly to their defeat last time out in the Championship, and this result does lift them back up into the top 10 of the Championship. For a side like Hull, maybe even they've got an outside chance of the top 6 this season. And then we had Steve Bruce winning his first game in charge of Sheffield Wednesday with a 1-0 away victory against Ipswich Town. It was the away side who started the better of the two sides, as they were creating more of the chances in the first half. Adam Reach had one brilliant chance to give Wednesday the lead. He was about 6 yards out, but somehow managed to smash his effort over the crossbar. Forestieri had a similarly good chance in the second half. When the Ipswich defence had gone to sleep, he managed to get in behind them, but couldn't find the target. Ipswich did grow into the game as it went on though. In the second half, they created more chances. They were looking quite dangerous from some Alan Judge corners swinging in, as well as that Will Keane had a couple of opportunities. And the longer the game went on, it looked like it was going to play out as a stalemate and end as a goalless draw, but it was Lucas João popping up when it mattered. Adam Reach with a brilliant surging run down the right hand side managed to pick out João in the middle of the pitch, and he's able to slot in to make it 1-0 to Sheffield Wednesday. So a good start for Steve Bruce in charge of Sheffield Wednesday, but it's another poor result for this Ipswich side, who did have a chance to gain some ground on some of the teams above them who dropped points this weekend. So overall, another one to forget for Ipswich. And then we have Millwall drawing 0-0 against Rotherham United. I think that both sides will look back on this game as quite a missed opportunity actually. Both sides had chances in this one to win it. It's just neither of them could find that final bit of quality for this one. The away side, Rotherham, both of their best chances probably fell to their striker Michael Smith in this one. He had a brilliant one going through on goal where Jamie Archer was just able to tip it wide of the post. And he had another chance not too long after that, which was cleared off the goal line by Ben Marshall. And speaking of Ben Marshall, he had a fantastic chance to win the game for Millwall in the final few stages of the game. It was them racing away on the counter-attack. Jade Wallace had put him in on goal, but I think it was Semi Ajayi who had just done enough to put off Ben Marshall, and in the end, his shot did go wide of the post. So in the end, finishing as a goalless draw. Considering Millwall's recent run of form, I don't think that a goalless draw away from home for Rotherham is the worst result in the world for them. It keeps Rotherham out of the bottom 3 for the time being, and for Millwall, it gives them a 5-point buffer between themselves and the relegation zone. And then we had another goalless draw played out between Reading and Aston Villa. Quite a frustrating one for both sides this game, as neither of them could completely get into their attacking flow. There were quite a few penalty appeals waved away for this game as well. A couple of players booked for diving, but in the end finishing as a goalless draw. Oliveira had a decent chance for Reading to take the lead, but Kalinic managed to save well for that chance. Similarly to that, Tammy Abraham had a fantastic chance in the second half to wrap things up for Aston Villa, but Martinez made an absolutely brilliant reflex save to keep the score at 0-0. But the biggest talking point from this game was without a doubt the Tyrone Mings stamp on Nelson Oliveira. If you've not seen it by now, I'll show on screen now a picture of Oliveira's face after the incident, and it's fair to say it doesn't look good. Obviously, Tyrone Mings is a player who has got previous with this sort of thing. A couple of seasons ago, stamped on Ibrahimovic's head while playing for Bournemouth against Manchester United. And obviously, these things can happen in football. It can be accidental, there's no question about that. But when you look at it in slow motion, it doesn't look good for me. You know, he actually looks like he looks down at Oliveira and plants his foot into his face. Obviously, the only person that's going to know if it was intentional or not is going to be Tyrone Mings. It'll be interesting to see if there are any repercussions for this. But what I want to know from you guys is, what did you make of the Mings stamp? Was it accidental or was it on purpose, and should he be banned or not? Let me know down below. And then we had Sheff Utd beating Bolton Wanderers by 2-0, and with Leeds losing this weekend, that closes the gap on the top 3 for for Sheffield United to just 3 points now. So anything's possible for this United side for the remainder of this season. For the first half of this game though, Bolton were able to frustrate the hosts. They had a couple of chances, but Bolton were putting bodies on the line, weren't letting a lot of space get in behind. But eventually the Sheffield United pressure did pay off, and considering how well Bolton had defended up until this point, it was quite a disappointing goal to concede in the end actually. A simple ball coming over the top, Billy Sharp was able to outstrength Hobbs. He then flashed the ball across the box, and it was David McGoldrick there on the spot who was able to put Sheffield United 1-0 ahead. It was then Billy Sharp who managed to wrap things up for Sheffield United. An inch perfect free kick coming into the box from Ollie Norwood met the head of Billy Sharp, and he was the man on the spot to give the Blades all 3 points for this one. So a convincing home victory for Sheffield United in this one, but another loss for Bolton Wanderers. It's going to take something big for Bolton to stay up this season, but probably the only positive around Bolton at the moment is they are only 3 points off safety at the moment, so who knows what's possible come the end of the season. And then we have Middlesbrough beating West Brom by 3-2 in a very dramatic game at the Hawthorns. Going into this game, I wasn't sure what I was expecting from this Borough side, but fair play to Tony Pulis for changing this game around in the second half with the introduction of a Son Belonga from the bench. It was actually Middlesbrough who managed to take the lead in this game. West Brom absolutely gifting it to them after some poor play from them. A sloppy pass out from the back from Sam Johnson. Judge Seville pounced upon that. He then had a free run at goal basically. No pressure on him whatsoever. He was able to waltz into the box and just fire in low past Sam Johnson to give the away side a 1-goal lead. In fairness to West Brom though, they did react well to that, with Jay Rodriguez getting them back into the game just before half time, and then Dwight Gale turning things around into the second half. But like I said, it was the introduction of Britta Son Belonga coming on from the bench for Middlesbrough. So far this season, he's been a little bit up and down, you know. Son Belonga, you never really know where his head's at. Sometimes he can have an absolute calamity in front of goal, but sometimes when he's on form like he was today, he can be a ruthless striker in the Championship. The first goal was absolutely expertly taken. After linking up with Jordan Hugill, he didn't snatch at the chance when it first came about. He held onto the ball for as long as possible, showed great composure, and then finally manages to dart it in past Sam Johnson to make it 2-2. And then some awful defending once again from West Brom, with Chris Brunt failing to clear his lines. Son Belonga is there to pounce upon that, and in the end he does give Borough all 3 points from this one. And this result now leaves Middlesbrough on 50 points, level with West Brom, with a game in hand on Sheffield United and the two sides above them. And then we have Wigan beating QPR by 2-1, with Leon Clark having a very promising debut for the home side in this one. He was able to set up the first goal, a flick on sending Josh Windass through on goal, managed to give Wigan a 1-goal lead. And Wigan were looking quite good in the opening stages of this one. We also saw Reece James moved into midfield for this game. We've seen him there a couple of times so far this season, either playing as a fullback or in that central position. I've got to say, the amount of quality he's got on the ball and the amount of attributes he actually has to his game, there's no doubt he's going to be playing in the Premier League next season. In the second half, we then saw Wigan double their lead, Leon Clark getting on the score sheet on his debut. QPR did get back into the game though with a Sai Samuel on the 75th minute, and for the last sort of 25 minutes of this game, QPR were really pressing for that equaliser. They hit the bar and Wigan managed to scramble away a couple of other opportunities. As well as that, they also had a strong penalty appeal late on into this game, which was waved away by the ref. But in the end, it was Wigan who picked up all 3 points, and that could be a big result for Wigan come the end of the season, just to pull away from that relegation zone once more. There's no doubt that their home form is going to be very important between now and the end of the season. And then finally, the big game going on this weekend between Leeds United and Norwich City, and it was the away side who picked up all 3 points with a superb 3-1 away victory. And what a 3 points that could be for Norwich and for the Championship in general going forward this season. That does now lift Norwich to the top of the Championship, and what a game this was to watch, I've got to say. Norwich got off to the dream start in this one, with Varancic giving them the lead after just 5 minutes from a deflected free kick, managing to arrow into that top corner past Kiko Garcia. Nothing he could do about that one. And Norwich managed to double their lead out in the 35th minute with Timu Pukki getting on the score sheet. Varancic once again having another pop at goal. Forshaw was playing Pukki onside and he managed to sweep it into the empty net. Leeds were playing some alright stuff at times, they just couldn't click into gear, but the second half, Norwich were absolutely superb for that half. They managed the game absolutely superbly. Some of their passages of play were absolutely brilliant to watch, and one player I wanted to pick up on was Emi Buendia. He is an absolute joy to watch. What a bit of business that was from Norwich City to bring him over. He's so composed and agile, and at times he had the Leeds defence on absolute strings. It was absolutely brilliant to watch. In the second half, Norwich did manage to wrap up the game with Varancic getting on the score sheet once again, and I really can't emphasise just how good Norwich looked in that second half. They really are looking like the real deal going forward now for the rest of this season. There were quite a few players for Leeds in this one who just looked quite far off the pace. Ayling, I thought, had a bit of a nightmare in this one. Forshaw wasn't great. Roof just couldn't quite get into the game either. So there were quite a few Leeds players who just weren't at it in this one, whereas Norwich, on the other hand, it was absolutely brilliant brilliant from Daniel Farke. The game was managed absolutely excellently, and they take all 3 points from this one, and the Championship really is heating up now. Well, there you guys have it. There were all the games that went down this weekend in the Championship. So what did you make of your team's performance? Let me know in the comments down below. In terms of my results of the weekend, I'm going to have to give it to Norwich City for their fantastic 3-1 away victory over Leeds United. Then for my goal of the weekend, a few contenders for this one myself, I'm just going to give it to Jota of Birmingham for his fantastic opener against Nottingham Forest this weekend. And then just before we do wrap up the video, I will go over my January team of the month. So this one was quite a hard one to compile, and I'd be interested to get your guys' opinions on who you think should make it from your club into the team of the month. So starting out in goal, I'm going to go for David Raya of Blackburn Rovers. He had a bit of a disaster class against Brentford, but throughout the month of January, he was very consistent. And then into the defence, Darrell Lenihan from Blackburn Rovers is also going to make it in to my team after Blackburn were very successful throughout January. Their defensive stability is something that's not going unnoticed lately in the Championship, and I think he played a large role in that. Next up, I'm then going to have Jordan Storey of Preston. Considering we've got one of the worst defensive records in the Championship, that's slowly starting to improve ever since Jordan Storey's come into the team, and especially since Ben Davies has been partnering him. In our last 2 matches in the Championship, we've kept consecutive clean sheets now, and Jordan Storey has been absolutely immense for Preston so far this season. Considering how young he is, he's an absolutely dominating centre-back. He managed to score a goal and get an assist in the month of January. Our next member of the back line is going to be Thomas Callas of Bristol City. They've recently been able to climb into the top 6 of the Championship, and their defensive stability has been the main reason for that. Thomas Callas has been a superb signing for them. And then to complete our back line, we're going to have Rico Henry from Brentford. They've really been picking up their form lately in the Championship, and since coming back from injury, Rico Henry has had a really positive effect on this squad. Throughout the month of January, he was able to score a goal and pick up an assist. Moving on into the midfield, we're going to have another Brentford player. That has to be Ben Rama. He had a brilliant month of January, scoring 2 goals and picking up 2 assists. For the second month running, Jared Bowen is going to make it into the squad once again, and you can't look past him really with the form he's been on lately for Hull City. Despite the game they had against Blackburn Rovers, Hull were excellent once again in the month of January. Bowen was able to score 4 goals throughout the month, as well as picking up a man of the match award against Sheffield Wednesday. Mario Varancic from Norwich City is going to make it into my midfield as well, a player who's been dominating that area for Norwich City. Last season I wasn't really convinced by Varancic. It's obviously taken him a bit of time to adapt to English football, but this season, and lately especially in the Championship, he's been dominant for them. And then to complete my midfield, I'm going to have Adam Armstrong from Blackburn Rovers. At the start of this season, it's taken him a while to get going, but he has exploded onto the scene in January. He's managed to score 3 goals in January, as well as picking up an assist as well, and his pace and explosivity going forward has really given this Blackburn side a new dynamic. Tammy Abraham is going to make it into the team once again. He's been quite a mainstay in the team so far, but you can't ignore his form throughout the month of January. Despite Aston Villa's form being quite wavering lately, he was able to score 5 goals throughout the month of January, as well as picking up 2 Man of the Match awards. Then to finish off my team of the month, I'm going to have Ollie McBurney from Swansea City. In all competitions throughout January, he was able to score 7 goals and was absolutely massive for Swansea throughout the month. I think everyone knew of Ollie McBurney's qualities coming into this season after his loan spell last year with Barnsley, and with Swansea playing to his strengths when they are attack heavy going forward, Ollie McBurney really can be the difference for them. But as you can see on screen now, guys, that is my Championship January team of the month. So do you guys agree with my selections? Let me know in the comments down below. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you did go in to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.